One of the quickest to lose yourself in a relationship is by trading your self-respect for approval. And let me tell you, a high-value woman never makes that trade. She understands something most people struggle with. The moment you start lowering your standards just to keep someone around, you've already given away the very thing that made you attractive in the first place. Respect is the foundation. Without it, there is no relationship worth keeping. Think about it. Approval is cheap. Anybody can give it, and it can be taken away in a second. But self-respect, that's something that no one can give you and no one can take from you unless you hand it over. And too often, women hand it over because they're afraid of losing him, afraid that if they set boundaries, he might walk away, afraid that if they say no, they'll look cold or unloving. But here's the truth: when you protect your dignity, when you draw that line in the sand and refuse to let someone cross it, you're not pushing love away. You're filtering for the kind of man who's actually capable of real love. You see, when a man encounters a woman who refuses to tolerate disrespect, something shifts. He realizes he can't play the same games, he can't cut corners, he can't manipulate. She forces him, by her very presence, to step up or step aside, and that's what respect does. It raises the standard of behavior around you. But the opposite is also true. If you lower your standards just to be liked, if you ignore red flags just to avoid being alone, you teach people how to treat you, and they will treat you exactly at the level you tolerate. Now, some people confuse self-respect with pride, as if setting boundaries makes you arrogant. But let me make this clear: arrogance screams for attention, self-respect doesn't. Arrogance demands recognition, self-respect commands it. They're not the same. A high-value woman doesn't need to prove her worth. She lives it. She doesn't chase validation. She embodies it. And the irony is, the less you chase approval, the more respect you naturally attract. Psychologists call this self-concept clarity. When you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you will never tolerate, you radiate stability. People can sense it even without words. It's like walking into a room where one person is frantic and needy while another is calm and grounded. Which one do people gravitate toward? It's the one who doesn't need anything from anyone, the one who brings peace instead of pulling energy. That's the energy of self-respect. But here's the catch: living this way is not easy, because self-respect often means sacrifice. It means walking away from someone you care about because they can't meet you at the level you deserve. It means saying no when every part of you wants to say yes just to avoid conflict. It means sitting with loneliness instead of filling the void with the wrong person. And that takes courage. That's why I say only a high-value woman can do it, because it's not about being strong in the easy moments. It's about being strong in the moments where weakness looks so tempting. I want you to think about the long-term effects. Every time you trade self-respect for approval, you reinforce the idea that you're not enough on your own. And that belief doesn't just stay in your relationships, it seeps into your work, your friendships, your future. You start making yourself smaller in every room you walk into. You silence your voice in every conversation. And over time, you forget what it feels like to stand tall. That's the real cost. Not the man you're trying to keep, but the woman you lose in the process. And here's where philosophy comes in. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, they all taught that no external thing should ever control your peace. A man's approval, his attention, his affection, those are all external. They can change like the weather. But your character, your virtue, your self-respect, those are internal. And the Stoics would say, if you hand those over to another person, you've given up your freedom. And freedom is the essence of value. A woman who respects herself is free, free from begging, free from performing, free from being controlled by the fear of rejection. Now let's bring this down to the everyday level. What does it look like when a high value woman refuses to sacrifice self-respect for approval? It looks like not laughing at a joke that demeans her just to avoid tension. It looks like not rearranging her entire life to fit into a man's schedule while he makes no effort to accommodate hers. It looks like refusing to tolerate inconsistency. When his words and his actions don't line up, she doesn't excuse it, she calls it out or walks away. These aren't grand gestures. They're small daily choices that add up to one clear message. I know my worth, and I will not betray myself to be loved. And here's the beautiful paradox: the men who are worth having, the ones with integrity, the ones who want a partner and not a possession, they are drawn to this energy. They want a woman who has self-respect because they respect themselves, like attracts like. And the men who are intimidated by it, who label you too much or too difficult, those men were never capable of giving you what you deserve in the first place. So in protecting your self-respect, you're not losing anything. You're saving yourself years of disappointment. So let's not sugarcoat it. Approval is seductive. It feels good to be liked, to be wanted, to be chosen. But approval is fleeting. Respect is lasting. Approval asks you to bend. Respect asks you to stand tall. Approval is about pleasing others. Respect is about honoring yourself. And when you choose respect, you not only elevate your relationships, you elevate your life. So remember this: the man who truly values you doesn't want the version of you who bends to fit his needs. He wants the version of you who stands firm in her own. And the only way he'll ever meet her is if you protect her. Never sacrifice your self-respect for approval, because the cost is always too high. And if there's one thought I want to leave you with, it's this: approval can be taken away in a moment, but self-respect, once you claim it, becomes unshakable. Protect it at all costs, because a woman who honors herself teaches the world exactly how she deserves to be treated. There's another mistake that a high-value woman never makes. She never puts a man's needs above her own identity. And let's be clear, this doesn't mean she's selfish, cold, or unwilling to compromise. What it means is that she refuses to disappear in the process of loving someone else. She doesn't abandon her passions, her dreams, or her individuality just to keep a relationship intact. Because the moment you do that, you stop being a partner, you become an accessory. And no high-value woman allows herself to become an accessory in anyone's life. Now, why does this happen so often? Because love is powerful. When a woman falls deeply for a man, the pull to give everything is strong. She thinks, if I sacrifice for him, if I put his happiness above my own, maybe that will make him love me more. Maybe that will make him stay. But here's the trap: what you gain in temporary closeness, you lose in long-term respect. And respect, once lost, is almost impossible to regain. Psychologists call this self-abandonment. It's the slow erosion of your own identity in service of someone else's needs. At first, it looks noble: canceling your plans to support him, changing your goals to align with his, reshaping your personality to match what you think he wants. But over time, this creates resentment, not just toward him, but toward yourself. Because deep down, you know you've betrayed the most important person in the relationship, you. And let's not forget something essential: attraction is built on individuality. A man doesn't fall for you because you fit into his world perfectly. He falls for you because you had your own world, your own passions, your own fire, your own rhythm. That independence is magnetic. It's what pulls people in. But if you abandon that to orbit around his needs, the very thing that drew him to you in the first place disappears. And once it disappears, so does the attraction. Think about it like this: a relationship should be like two trees standing side by side, each rooted in its own soil, each reaching toward the sky, but growing together. If one tree bends and leans entirely on the other, neither tree grows properly. The roots weaken, the structure falters, and eventually both collapse. That's what happens when one person gives up their identity for the other. It's not love, it's imbalance. Now, this doesn't mean you never compromise. Compromise is part of love. But compromise is not the same as erasure. Compromise says, I'll meet you halfway. Erasure says, I'll erase myself to make space for you. And only one of those builds a healthy relationship. A high-value woman knows the difference. She knows that supporting her partner should never come at the cost of silencing her own voice. Philosophically, this comes down to something the existentialists like Kierkegaard and Sartre wrote about, the idea of authenticity. To live authentically is to live in alignment with who you truly are, not the role society or someone else wants you to play. When you abandon your identity for a man, you stop living authentically. You become an actor in someone else's script. And that's a tragedy because the world doesn't need another version of him. It needs the fullest version of you. And let's bring it down to real life. What does it look like when a woman puts his needs above her identity? It looks like quitting her career because he feels threatened by her success. It looks like hiding her opinions because she's afraid he'll think she's too outspoken. It looks like saying yes to things she doesn't want, whether it's social situations, lifestyle choices, or even physical boundaries, just to keep the peace. Each time she does this, a piece of her disappears. And by the time she realizes it, she doesn't recognize herself anymore. But here's the powerful truth: when a woman refuses to abandon her identity, she doesn't just protect herself, she protects the relationship too. Because the strongest partnerships are built on two whole people choosing to walk together, not one whole person carrying the weight of another. When she keeps her individuality, she brings energy, inspiration, and freshness into the relationship. She has her own stories, her own victories, her own perspective, and that's what keeps the relationship alive. Two lives, not one life duplicated. This is why independence is not the enemy of love, it's the foundation of it. Independence doesn't mean you don't need anyone. It means you don't lose yourself in needing someone. It means your love is a choice, not a crutch. And that's the kind of love that lasts because it's not based on desperation, it's based on mutual respect and freedom. Now, this requires courage because it's easier to give yourself away. It's easier to mold yourself into whatever he wants because it avoids conflict. It avoids rejection. But easy choices rarely build strong women. And if you want to be high value, you have to take the harder path. The path where you say, I love you, but I also love myself. I'll stand beside you, but I won't stand beneath you. I'll support you, but I won't abandon me. That's strength. That's value. And men who are truly worthy, admire this. They don't want someone who revolves entirely around them. They want someone who challenges them, inspires them, and stands as an equal. A man secure in himself doesn't need a woman who sacrifices her identity. He wants a woman who stands proudly in it. And if he doesn't, then he's not the man you should be building with in the first place. So the next time you feel the urge to shrink yourself, to silence your voice, to put his needs above your own identity, pause. Ask yourself, if I give this up, what will be left of me? Because love that demands you erase yourself isn't love, it's control. And a high-value woman was never born to be controlled. She was born to live fully, authentically, unapologetically. Remember this: the right man will never require you to abandon yourself to love him. And the wrong man isn't worth abandoning yourself for. Hold on to your identity because that's where your power lies. And without it, there is no relationship that's worth keeping. So let me leave you with this thought. Your identity is not negotiable. It is the essence of your worth, the soul of your value. Protect it fiercely. Because the woman who keeps herself intact doesn't just win in love, she wins in life.